Donald Trump has warned he will impose high tariffs and further sanctions on Russia if Vladimir Putin fails to end the war in Ukraine. Writing on his social media platform Truth Social, he said that by pushing to settle the war he was doing Russia and its president a very big favor. Trump had previously said he would negotiate a settlement to Russia's full-scale invasion launched in February 2022, in a single day. Russia has not yet responded to the remarks, but senior officials have said in recent days that there is a small window of opportunity for Moscow to deal with the new U.S. administration. Putin has said repeatedly that he is prepared to negotiate an end to the war, which first began in 2014, but that Ukraine would have to accept the reality of Russian territorial gains, which are currently about 20% of its land. He also refuses to allow Ukraine to join NATO. Kyiv does not want to give up its territory, although President Volodymyr Zelensky has conceded he may have to cede some currently occupied land temporarily. On Tuesday, Trump told a news conference he would be talking to Putin very soon, and it sounds likely that he would apply more sanctions if the Russian leader did not come to the table. But in his Truth Social post on Wednesday, he went further. "I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor," he wrote. "Settle now, and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. If we don't make a deal, and soon, I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States, and various other participating countries." Continuing, he said, "Let's get this war, which never would have started if I were president, over with. We can do it the easy way, or the hard way, and the easy way is always better. It's time to make a deal." Russia's deputy UN ambassador Dmitry Polyansky earlier told Reuters news agency that the Kremlin would need to know what Trump wants in a deal to stop the war before the country moves forward. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told the World Economic Forum on Tuesday that at least 200,000 peacekeepers would be needed under any agreement. And he told Bloomberg that any peacekeeping force for his country would have to include U.S. troops to pose a realistic deterrent to Russia. "It can't be without the United States. Even if some European friends think it can be, no, it will not be," he said, adding that no one else would risk such a move without the U.S. While Ukraine's leaders might appreciate this tougher-talking Trump, they have always said Putin only understands strength. The initial reaction in Kyiv to the U.S. president's comments suggests that it is actions people are waiting for, not words. Trump has not specified where more economic penalties might be aimed, or when. Russian imports to the U.S. have plummeted since 2022, and there are all sorts of heavy restrictions already in place. On social media, there was a generally scathing response from Ukrainians. Many suggested that more sanctions were a weak reply to Russian aggression. But the biggest question for most is what Putin is actually open to discussing with Ukraine at any peace talks. In Moscow, meanwhile, some people are seeing signs that the Kremlin may be readying Russians to accept less than the victory once envisaged, which included tanks rolling all the way west to the southern Ukrainian port city of Odessa. TV editor Margarita Simonyan, who is stridently pro-Putin, has begun talking of realistic conditions for ending the war, which she suggests could include halting the fighting along the current front line. That would mean the 4 Ukrainian regions that Putin illegally pronounced as Russian territory more than 2 years ago, like Zaporizhia, still being partially controlled by Kyiv. Russian hardliners, the so-called Z-bloggers, are furious at such defeatism. In his social media post, Trump also couched his threat of tariffs and tighter sanctions in words of love for the Russian people and highlighted his respect for Soviet losses in World War II. A near-sacred topic for Putin, though Trump massively overestimated the numbers and appeared to think the USSR was Russia alone. In reality, millions of Ukrainians and other Soviet citizens also lost their lives. That said, the man who previously said he could understand Russia's concerns about Ukraine joining NATO, which for Kyiv is tantamount to saying Putin was provoked, does seem to be shifting his tone. Donald Trump has consistently emphasized his ability to negotiate with world leaders and has claimed he could bring an end to the war in Ukraine quickly if given the opportunity. In interviews and public statements, Trump has suggested he would be tough with Vladimir Putin and use his personal rapport with him to broker peace. During his presidency and after, Trump has occasionally hinted at the kind of firm rhetoric he believes would deter Putin. For instance, he has publicly stated that he would warn Putin of severe consequences if the conflict continued. Trump has claimed that his leadership style and unpredictability would dissuade Putin from escalating the war. He often underscores his record, pointing out that Russia didn't invade Ukraine during his time in office, as opposed to the situations under other administrations. One of his more notable comments was that he would tell Putin directly that continuing the war would result in swift and decisive action against Russia. While Trump hasn't provided detailed plans, his remarks reflect his broader approach to foreign policy, projecting strength, leveraging relationships, and keeping adversaries guessing. This narrative is a mix of Trump's self-asserted confidence in his leadership style and his belief that his unique approach to diplomacy would be effective. Critics, however, often point out that such claims are speculative and lack detailed strategies to address the complexities of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. If you love our stories, make sure that you subscribe at OG TV Show YouTube channel to get our latest updates. We love you so much.